Ever fallen for a scam? Just between us, I have. You know the scams I'm talking about, the ones where you click an email attachment that you shouldn't have, or you get a text message from someone claiming they have the wrong number, who's trying to scam you into buying them a gift card. Scammers have been around as long as money itself, but lately it seems like they're getting even more relentless. Thanks in large part to AI technology, scammers are becoming harder to detect, resulting in unprecedented losses, dollar amounts in the billions each year, and an immeasurable emotional toll. Why has it gotten so bad? Who is most at risk? And how can we best protect ourselves and our loved ones against online scammers? We've come a long way from the days of the Nigerian prince scam, also known as advance fee fraud, has been around since the 90s and is probably one of the best known examples of online scamming. It's what has been called a social engineering scheme, where people are emotionally manipulated into handing over money or giving up confidential information. It's designed to hijack your empathy. Common sense and reason are replaced by the need to help someone in need. Scams like these are just the tip of the iceberg. The FBI reports that Americans were swindled out of a whopping $10.3 billion last year. That's a new record, up 49% from 2021. The biggest losses came from investment scams, most of which involved cryptocurrency. Take this example. You're suddenly added to a large WhatsApp group by a supposed cryptocurrency investor who's offering tips and strategies and is promising to make you a huge profit. A bunch of messages pop up from the other group members asking questions about the company, but the investor has plenty of seemingly legitimate answers readily available. How lucky are you to be added to a group that's about to make a ton of money? The trick is that all of the other people in the group are bots, and the so-called investor is trying to convince you to put money into a cryptocurrency wallet that's actually their own. The tricky part about crypto scams is these transactions are not reversible. Cryptocurrencies are largely unregulated and decentralized, which means there's no intermediary, like a bank, to turn to for assistance. If you do become the victim of a crypto scam, your best bet is to report the scam to the FBI and the cryptocurrency exchange you were using. Never engage in financial transactions with people you've only met online. Don't reveal your personal cryptocurrency keys to anyone. And keep in mind that anyone offering you a deal that's too good to be true is likely trying to scam you. Now, I know what you may be thinking. I would never fall for such an obvious scam. I'm smarter than that. But we should hold off judgment for a bit. Scams are becoming more complex, and before long, it might be virtually impossible to detect them before it's too late. Imposter scams are the practice of copying identifying elements of a person, brand, or organization for fraudulent purposes. For instance, romance scammers will catfish their victims on dating apps, striking up a relationship, often messaging several times a day over weeks, months, or even years. Then, once trust is established, they start asking for money. Last year, a Georgia widow in her 70s met a man on Facebook claiming to be a doctor working overseas. The scammer spent months fostering their relationship, eventually convincing her to help him buy a house in North Carolina. He offered to pay for the majority of the house if she could just contribute $70,000 and wire it to him so that he could close on the property. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. If you ever encounter this kind of a scam, gather all the evidence you can on the scammer and contact your local authorities. If you've already sent money, notify your bank immediately so they can start an investigation into recovering your funds. The FBI reports a staggering $3.1 billion was swindled out of those aged 60 and over in 2022. Cyber criminals tend to target senior citizens because they're often less tech savvy and have more money. Here's how the grandparent scam works. The criminal calls their victim, often using a phone number, which makes the victim think the call is coming from someone they know. The criminals impersonate that person with a made-up story about being in trouble and urgently needing money. Before AI, the scammer would have to account for why they sound different, like a bad phone connection or injury. But now, criminals can use generative AI to replicate their loved one's actual voice using just a short audio clip. Earlier this year, a Maryland couple received a frantic phone call from a voice that sounded like their granddaughter's, pleading for help after getting into a car accident and being detained by police. They were swindled out of $38,000. If a loved one ever contacts you suddenly asking for money, be sure to verify that it's them. Either call or text them at a number you know and trust to confirm it's really them, or ask a question that only they would know the answer to. Another big example of these types of schemes is retail scams, where thieves create and publish fake retail websites that either look like genuine businesses or are meant to imitate existing retailers. The deals are usually too good to be true, and once you purchase something, you'll be waiting in vain for your merchandise to arrive. These schemes tend to flourish around the holidays or major shopping events like Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Links to these fake online shops most often come from social media ads, according to the Federal Trade Commission. And the losses don't stop there. Sometimes these phony sites or pop-up ads or emails contain malware that infects whatever device you're using to harvest personal information that can later be used in identity theft. Just this year, there were a slew of Facebook ads promoting Black Friday discounts by the discount retail chain Big Lots. The ads linked to fake websites impersonating the store, and those who fell for the bait ended up losing their money and credit card information. Never provide credit information on a website unless you know it's secure with this tiny lock symbol and an HTTPS at the beginning of the URL. If a business contacts you wanting to discuss your account, insist on contacting them back with a number or website that you know is real. One of the most commonly used and most successful online scams is phishing attacks, where a scammer masquerading as a trustworthy entity tries to steal crucial data or information from you. Like when you're called out of the blue and hear this.
We are calling you from the Department of Social Security Administration. The reason you received this phone call from our department is to inform you that there's a legal enforcement actions filed on your Social Security number for fraudulent activities.
No U.S. government agency will ever contact you with threats or requests for money or sensitive personal information. A recent phishing scam targeting more than 100 million Netflix subscribers told email recipients their accounts were soon to be suspended due to a billing error unless they clicked the link to update their credit card information. The link directed to an illegitimate, though very authentic-looking Netflix site. With AI, scammers can now generate messages that fool not only humans, but also spam filters and social media fraud detection. And they can do it in any language they choose. Never click on links or attachments from unsolicited emails or text messages. Don't respond to emails or pop-up messages asking for personal information. Always use strong passwords on all your accounts and be sure to set up multi-factor authentication as an added layer of protection. If you do end up providing any numbers, PINs, or passwords to any of your accounts, change those passwords and notify the companies that hold those accounts immediately. If you've shared your Social Security number, report it to the Federal Trade Commission at identitytheft.gov. And consider freezing your credit as a way to restrict access to your credit report. Though seniors do make up the bulk of scam victims, younger generations, especially teens, are increasingly becoming targets. In 2017, people under 20 lost $8.2 million. By 2022, that number had jumped to $210 million. Teens are increasingly susceptible to fraudulent in-app purchases in online games and social media scams where fake accounts pose as popular influencers or even personal friends to con young people into sending them money, or worse, illicit photos or videos that are then used as blackmail. Financial losses aside, these sextortion scams are hugely damaging to the young people they target, psychologically, and they're more common than you might think. In 2023, there were more than 20,000 such cases, and that's just the ones that were reported. Ultimately, protecting your teens from cyber criminals starts with you. Have frequent, ongoing discussions with your teens about how to be safe online. Let them know about the dangers that are out there and that it's okay to make mistakes online. You've made them too. Give them the tools they need to be safe. It may be easy to vilify scammers, but it also could be helpful to understand where a lot of these scams come from. Many of the folks perpetrating these scams may also be victims themselves. Some individuals might resort to scamming to escape poverty or government oppression. Others may have no choice. The United Nations recently reported that it's not uncommon for people to be trafficked by criminal gangs and forced to work in scam centers. People are coerced into scamming and often endure inhumane treatment, sometimes locked in former casino venues or large office buildings under the watch of armed guards. The report cited that up to 220,000 people in Southeast Asia are being forced to work as scammers. What we have talked about in this episode is by no means an exhaustive list of scams to look out for. There are many others out there, and there will undoubtedly be more as technology evolves. And if you fall victim to one of these scams, don't beat yourself up. You aren't the first to get conned, and you won't be the last. To help keep fraudsters at bay, stay up to date on the latest scams that are out there. And be sure to educate those around you about the different types of scams they may encounter online. And hey, maybe share with them an 8 to 10 minute long YouTube video that might help, one that, breaks down the perils and pitfalls and offers safety tips, kind of like this one. Until next time, I'm Ari Srinivasan, and this is Take on Fake. Thanks for watching.